Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you, wherever you might be in the world. Take two of me doing this video today because I'm having a few technical issues, largely because of the weather. But anyway, before I start going off down that tangent, welcome to the channel, welcome to Lorena's Labyrinth. I'm Anah Parreli. As you've just seen, I can go off on a tangent despite best intentions and typing myself up a transcript. I'm okay with that because I'm human. But anyway, and I'm not a fan of AI narratives is the other thing. So before I go into the video content today, I just want to welcome you to the channel if you're new. If you're a returning visitor, welcome back. Thank you for your ongoing support. If you're new, then you probably won't know, so I'll always revisit this for the newbies, is that I do have a dog and sometimes he's distracting. Sometimes I get tongue-tied. Sometimes I go off on a tangent like today. And because time is a premium and videos can be a bit long that I make, I put into the description of the video, I actually put timing chapters in so that you can shift to the areas of interest for you. Now, speaking of interest and information that you might find interesting or of value in some way, shape, or form, I would ask, please, very nicely, that you give us a thumbs up on the video, simply to keep me motivated and to keep doing content. The other thing, of course, and I want to recognise the people that have subscribed to the channel and give them a big thank you and a big shout out as well. Now, because my videos can be long, I'm going to just invite you can skip through to the areas of interest for you. You don't have to listen to my entire waffle, okay? I just hope that I will be able to help you in some way, and I encourage and invite you to put your comments, your experiences. If you've used a crystal and I haven't, or you've used it a lot more than I have, you're going to have a lot more information that's going to be valuable for people out there. So without further ado, let's jump in, because today's video is on money agate, and I have found this one really. I've got some, so I will be talking about the fact that I've bought some, but as far as understanding the properties and getting information about it, it's actually been quite challenging and educational for me in itself. So let's take a look at it. So the first thing about money agate to acknowledge is this is what I'm talking about. This is what I have recently found through sellers online, the wholesalers. I've managed to grab some to add to my collection. And this is specifically what I'm talking about. And the reason I'm stressing this is because there's other crystals called money agate as well. And that has been what has been very confusing for me, is because I haven't, I have managed to find a bit of information about this particular form, but it's certainly been challenging for me. There's lots of different ones. You'll find it online. I'll talk about that a little bit more when we're talking about the mineral information about it. So for this, I'm just going to talk about the colors, what it looks like. These aren't my crystals that I've got. I've actually got a video. I took a video of mine to show people what it looks like from my end. My photography is appalling, just by the way, as an aside. It was a video and it doesn't do justice to the colors, and I don't like to color enhance my photographs. But either way, we're talking about a material, a naturally forming material that has this type of coloring on it, and it does even have druzy. Okay, so it's fascinating. This one is actually called Chinese Money Agate. Okay, and it has been used. I will actually just refer to my notes for a moment with this. I think at this point, just to say that where it became confusing is because sometimes it was being marketed online as Indonesian money agate, other times Indonesian bloodstone, and all of this kind of thing. Well, it's not Indonesian in the first instance, it's from China. So that's the big hassle. Anyway, it was for me to find information for you. So because there's not a lot actually out there, certainly within the Western pages that I usually look at, and I expanded my exploration search pool, if you like, to try and get information about this money agate. But anyway, where I'm going with this is Indonesian money agate, and I've got photos of that down the track as well in this video, is recommended for those people that are star signs of Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. Now, I don't know how they make that link, because I'm just going to give you some insight here. Number one, if you're new to the channel, you won't realise that I actually am not a fan of saying, look, if you're this star sign, then you need this crystal. I'm a believer that you get the crystal that you feel you're drawn to, not one that you feel that you want to have because it's pretty and rare or whatever. I mean, that's a good enough reason to buy them if you're going to look after it, you've got the money. But for most people that are into metaphysical healing properties, we buy because we want the attributes that the crystal carries. Now, money agate, we're going to talk about the metaphysical attributes more as we go through the video. I have a sequence. But the bottom line is it's a very earthy crystal anyway. So I wouldn't see it as being particularly beneficial to the earth signs, because this is what we're looking at here. I would say most likely anybody that's an air sign that can go off with the fairies and just totally impractical, illogical, irrational, and that can happen in any zodiac. So personally, I love money agate. The one that I've got here, I absolutely love. Anyway, moving on. So when it comes to the content here on this video, because there's not a lot out there, this is actually based on my intuitive guidance, a lot of this thing. And this is also about my understandings of colour, because I've been working with colour for a long time. I have a great passion for it, okay? But I would say, and largely because there's not a lot of information out there, money agate, based on its colouring, is going to be associated with what we call the Earth Star chakra, which sits about a foot beneath your feet, literally. Your Kundalini chakra, which is somewhere around the base, anus, around there. I've got more information that will be going up on my website to explain this. So Earth chakra, base chakra, Kundalini chakra, solar plexus chakra, and then going up to your crown chakra. So all, but the emphasis is on those lower ones that I'm talking about, and the crown. Now, the other thing I want to make a point of for newbies to the channel is in this image, you see the crown chakra trying to be a lilac color and not doing a good job. But the crown chakra is often represented through the color white or the crown chakra. But the other thing too is when we talk about the rainbow chakra, which goes about a foot above your crown, in fact, actually, the Bindi chakra, it probably works for the Bindi chakra as well, actually. I haven't thought about that too much. But anyway, going into the rainbow chakra, white actually is the color of the rainbow. So from a metaphysical perspective, we could actually say that potentially the money agate connects a person to the angelic kingdom as well and the higher realms. But anyway, let's get on with some more information about the mineral stuff that I managed to find. So if you are a geologist or somebody that works with rocks and stones, your input here would be absolutely amazing. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there right from the get-go, is that this is my interpretation and putting together what I understand of the information that is out there. So because it was very difficult, certainly not a lot out there in English, and language becomes a bit of a barrier sometimes when I'm going back to try and speak to the Chinese. Mislabeling from Chinese to English is actually quite common, I'm finding. So anyway, what did I find out? One, that it is often referred to as jasper. As I said, Indonesian bloodstone or money agate. What else? Hang on. I'll check my notes. I'll try and be factual. Okay, so looking at my notes and trying to reprocess them, the issue, or one of the issues with calling this crystal a crystal, is that when people have called it a brecciated jasper, it actually doesn't meet that criteria. If you look at the mineral, from what I understand, okay, I'm going to put that big disclaimer, like I said, from what I understand, it doesn't meet the definition of being a brecciated jasper, although there are some common themes with it. I think it's because brecciated jasper doesn't have druzy. As I say, don't quote me on that. And where it is referred to as an agate, it's not actually an agate either, because it doesn't have the layers. This is my understanding, doing this big backpedal all the way through. Anyway, I tried to find out. I struggle sometimes when it comes to Chinese suppliers, because obviously here in the West, if I'm sourcing a product from a wholesaler, I can just go, is that Brazilian amethyst? Where'd you source that from? Is it Australian? You know what I mean? We can just sort of be straight up and blunt about those questions. Where'd you get it from? Oh, right. Because most of us, I guess, in our culture, certainly in Western Australia, we've got a lot of mines here. We can ask those questions. We know where most of the locations are. So if I was to say, look at a product, go, is that West Australian? And they go, yeah. And because we know the areas where these materials are sourced from, we could even go that little bit further and say, oh, is it from such and such a mine? Because that has a distinct colour as opposed to other ones. And they will go, no, this is from such and such a place. And it's not an issue to ask those questions over here, because the reality is we actually can't purchase direct from the mine sites. They are not going to waste their time selling us a couple of kilograms, and certainly are not going to be wasting their time selling us probably, I guess, any less than a couple of container loads, and it depends on the purpose of the mine. So it's not an issue to ask that within my culture. But when I go to the Chinese and I try and get information about where they have sourced it from, they're just generally quite often quite reluctant to say it. They never ever tell me the mine, but they will, under pressure, disclose the location. So this was the case with the Chinese money agate. I went back, I did so much research on it, and I said to them, listen, I need to know, I said, I'm doing info educational videos. I need to know where this money agate was sourced, because otherwise I'm just going to be talking waffle to you guys, and I don't like talking waffle. So they came back and I was a little bit ticked about this, actually. They copy and pasted some information which I'd already found online, which was that it was Indonesian agate or brecciated jasper, as I said. And I just quickly wrote back, well, it's neither of those, is it? Because if you put this, and the way I did it was I actually put photographs of the money agate up against the Indonesian one and up against the brecciated jasper. And I said, as you can see, they are not the same product at all. And I said, and the quick answer, so then they came back and they said, it's Indonesian money agate. I thought, go blow in the wind as you do. So I then sent back to them, it's not Indonesian money agate, right? Because of, I'll hold off and I'll show you in a moment, because that's part of the buying tips. But anyway, I am speculating it's probably a hardness of about 7. It's certainly hard enough to actually drop it and have it not break. It's got the Chinese money agate. Well, when I say not break, I don't know how many times you could drop it before it would break, but I've dropped one once by accident. Anyway, it does have the colours of the browns. I would say even the terracotta type colours. A little bit of grey, perhaps a bit of yellow, some black in it, some clear in it. And it's got these patternings. I mean, it might even be called crazy lace agate by some people, but I still think that would be an erroneous naming of it. So if you're a geo and you know better, please feel free to add your comments. Before I go into further detail with the buying tips, though, I want to talk about the metaphysical overview for you, because it is definitely a colour, a rock, basically, of passion and creativity. You get this with all of these colours. You also get the connection to Gaia, the goddess energy, the earth, the grounding, the centering. And yeah, as I said, when you are bringing in the chakra connections in the way described on the chakra slide, you're actually looking at opening up the entire channels and purifying, aligning the aura and the chakras, as well as opening up those channels to the higher realms. So when it comes to the buying tips, it goes without saying that you need to know what you're spending your money on. And so therefore, the stock standard is know what you're paying for, ask the questions. How much is it per kilo? What is the weight of the item that you're buying? If you're buying in singular units, how tall is it? How high? One of the other things that you've got to be a little bit mindful of, I'm learning, is get them to stand the towers up. Don't have them lying down, because sometimes their bases are uneven and so they will easily topple over. Proportion of a tower is important to stop it falling over anyway. So you want to know those basic things. You want to know what the currency is that you're buying it for. You want to know what the conversion rates are if you're importing it. You want to know what the freight charges are and all the rest of it. You want to work all of that out and determine, is this a good price? Because you might be able to buy it better closer to home, okay, or at a better price, better value. That may influence your buying. Obviously, I always recommend people handle crystals before they make the purchase. So having said all of that, this particular slide here is going to talk about me trying to work out my little journey of establishing the authenticity of the crystal, okay, and to try and get the name correct, and then realizing there's a complete lack of information on the internet about money agate, except that I've obviously learned now that money agate isn't the real name of it. It's basically a marketing name for it. And of course, I'm putting the Chinese name in front, saying it's Chinese money agate, because I want to identify where it's sourced from so people know. Of course, at this point in time, this is the moment that the dog decides to go crazy, so there'll be some stopping and starting. Now, one of the other things I noticed about money stone or money agate is they would put up the image like on the left-hand side and then call it heliotrope. Well, if you look at the central image, I may have to talk louder over the dog. If you look at the central image up the top, excuse me, I think it's very clear to anybody that heliotrope and money agate are just absolutely nothing alike. When you look at the image on the right hand up the top, which is brecciated jasper, a form of it. By the way, both heliotrope and brecciated jasper come in different types of colouring and patterning, if you like. So this is just an example of it. But you can see that actually there is a similarity between brecciated jasper and money agate. So maybe it is a brecciated jasper at core. What initially put me off, though, thinking it wasn't a brecciated jasper, was because I think I saw somewhere that brecciated jasper doesn't have any druzy in it, and money agate can do, and mine do. Mine has got some of it. Druzy being those fine white crystals. But anyway, so it may actually be a form of brecciated jasper. If you are a geo, please feel free to clarify. When we look down at the crystals on the bottom lower tier, these are also some of the things that money agate, Chinese money agate, you've got the image and then it's called these names. And this is why I've put the images up so that you can see they might be calling it these names, but it looks nothing like the Chinese money agate. So Indonesian bloodstone has green in it. So Chinese money agate does not. While there is a lot of similarity between them in the patterning, it's defined obviously by the source. If it comes out of China, it's not Indonesian. So Indonesian bloodstone and Chinese money agate are absolutely not the same thing. Then we have a look at brecciated agate, that image there. You can see that's really nothing like the Chinese money stone as well. And then when they call it dragon blood jasper, I'm sorry, I get a little, it's like, where did you get that information from? They are absolutely nothing alike, not as far as I can see anyway. Anyway, without any further ado, I'm just going to shift on into the next video so that you can see this is my product that I filmed for this video, and so it might be a little bit repetitive, but you get to have a bit of a look at the crystals up close, and because I've got the light behind them, you can see that it does have some opaqueness, some transparency. Some of them have got the flaws, like the cracking in them, and some of them have got even the clearish whitish aspects has got some of the earth tones to it. So let's take a look. So just a reminder that I'm not a particularly good photographer, but what I'm trying to do is show you some samples of the money agate that I've got here. Now, as I hold this video or camera, if you like, I'm doing this on my phone and I'm not the best photographer. But what I'm hoping that you'll see, beyond the fact that I have this wonderful orbicular granite tabletop, but I also, on this particular crystal here, which I think I'm going to keep and not on sell, we actually have some druzy there. So we've got the wonderful patterning on all of them, and I will show you a few more of them in a moment, but this is a really good, I believe, sample of it. You can see that we have lines. I'll go in a bit closer. This is naturally forming. So this is typical of what we see with the Chinese money agate. We've got the lines, we've got the different colouring, we've got the different shades. You can see also that there is a level of opaqueness, and even when I go up the back here and look at that, we've got a level of transparency in this one. But there's all these different shapes and connections and colourings and tones. You know, I just think it's a particularly stunning crystal. I don't think that when you look at it to start with that it's overtly to do with money as well as prosperity. But you can certainly see, I believe, at a glance that it is actually connected to Mother Earth when you look at that colouring. Really, really stunning stuff. Beautiful, beautiful, just beautiful. So there you go, folks. Oh, maybe I'll keep that one. I'm not sure. So when it comes to establishing the crystal attributes, particularly of a spiritual nature, this is largely through the understanding of the chakras and what those chakras mean, how they function, and how they ambient energy, I can't think, the energies associated with those chakras, all right? So it is considered to be a stone of abundance, wealth and prosperity, and I would say largely because it is connected to Gaia, Earth Kingdom. This is about grounded, practical decision making, which is going to support any efforts with your business and financial decisions. It's going to provide those stable and solid foundations for you to build upon. So this is why it's going to be effective, I believe, for manifestation. But of course, when we're stable and astute and using our brain well, then we're able to create that space that draws abundance to us and prosperity. So the other things is it's supposed to promote, well, I believe it promotes spiritual growth and development. It's going to be able to offer some protection, some shielding. Because of the Mother Earth connection, it will be the connection to the plants, the minerals, the animals, the nature kingdom. And it's believed, I think I read somewhere, it's believed to bring good luck and good fortune. I'll stick with it as saying that's the case. We could even just call it a stone of success, to be honest, and nurturing. So when it comes to the physical, metaphysical attributes, just a reminder that there is no scientific evidence to this. You don't disengage from your treating professionals and put all your hopes and beliefs onto the crystals itself, but you can use them without harm. In most instances, I believe, elixirs, it depends on the crystal. The rest of them you can just use as complements to your existing treatments, if nothing else. But what I haven't put on this slide, and I think it's worth putting on there, is that I actually believe it's going to improve brain function and processing and help to create new pathways, neural pathways, such as the nerve endings through it. So if you've got neuropathy with your skin or whatever, it would probably benefit because it's got all those little weaving lines through it. I can't remember what they call those for right now, but I think it would be beneficial and helpful for that, as well as behaviour repatterning. To keep the video short today, I'm actually not going to go into all of this one by one. I will just say, look, if you're interested in these, because I actually can't remember where I got all of these from and how much of this is mine and how much is suggestions by somebody else. But I would say, look, take a look at this, and if it feels right to you, it feels right. If it doesn't, disregard it. But certainly, as mentioned before, I believe that would be helpful for things like rebuilding neural pathways, repatterning, in which case also, this is after thinking, when I'm looking at the content that I've put on the screen, I'm just reflecting as I talk and thinking to myself, well, you know what? I actually think it would be a stone for new beginnings as well, new starts, starting over, new endeavours, and actually commitment to purpose and intention. Once you set those goals, hammering in on them and not allowing yourself to be distracted and going the long haul, because quite often we say, I've got a dream, I have a dream, and then we give up just in that final push. We just need to give it that little last push to get us through, and we've achieved it. So I perceive that money agate is going to help to drive those manifestation ideas through to fruition, just giving you and encouraging you for that last push through. So the question, I guess, here, as usual, is how can I use it? If you want to tap into some of those properties. Well, obviously, it depends on the attributes that you're trying to tap into. If you want to have ambient energy, those little points and towers are great. You can buy it in spheres as well, and they are both ornamental and environmental energizers. If you were trying to manifest and build neural pathways, and give yourself strength and all of that to see your goals through to fruition, certainly meditating and holding them, using them perhaps as a palm stone would be a good go. You could put them under your pillow to what's that word? To strengthen the purpose and the intention of the healing that you're trying to do, which is start over or see a project to the end. You could pop that and just have that really embedded into your subconscious. You could wear it as a jewelry item, certainly as beads. I think it would be fine for that. You could use them as grids as well. Tumble stones are always wonderful. You can wear them on your person or as a pendant. When it comes to elixirs, I'm going to say that although there is no known toxicity that I'm aware of, I think particularly with these types of crystals, when you were looking at mine, I can't remember if it showed the little cracks properly. When you've got a stone that's got the inclusions and a bit of dirt just embedded as part of it, it may actually hold bacteria. So for anything like that, and certainly if there's druzy, you wouldn't be using it for a water immersion elixir. But what you could do is create your elixirs by putting the crystal, which could be the money agate, into a cup and making sure that when you place it in a bowl of water, that the water doesn't go into the holder of the crystal, because that's when you get cross-contamination. But the idea with the non-water immersion is that the crystal has ambient energy that will energize the water, and it's supposed to just take longer. I don't know if it's something that you're into. Leave a comment and I'll do a video on that as well. But yeah, I'm not into the idea, especially if it's a fossilized crystal, because it could have a lot of stuff in there, shall we say. Not necessarily toxic, but maybe infectious. I don't know. I'm just speculating. If you're new to the channel, there's no way you will know that when I provide a service to people, quite often towards the end of it, I ask them to pick a crystal I have a bowl of tumbles. And of course, every message that comes through is going to be contextual to the person. So these are just generic messages. So I guess where I'm going with this is, when we're talking about online, if you're looking at a photograph of, say, the money agate and really drawn to it and really liking it, then I guess we can interpret that as a subliminal message to you that, it's time to actually plant your feet, put your feet on the ground, get your head out the clouds and start doing as opposed to talking, because quite often we all have great ideas and they're never going to come about if all we do is go yap, yap, yap and not actually put the yards in to get it done. The other thing would be that, and I think this one is probably going to be, especially in these times, more relevant to more people, is that people struggling with financial hardship and never being able to make their ends meet. It's like the money comes in and it's out the door as quick as a flash. Now, sometimes that is about direct poverty, not getting enough money to actually survive on. But the thing is too, that look at your spending habits. It might be time to review your attitudes towards money. It might be time to take a look at doing a budget. When I talk about reviewing your attitudes and thoughts, there's often a false sense of economy that's involved with people, where they think, oh, I'm broke, I can't afford it, I'll buy plastic, right? I'll buy plastic because it's cheap and I'll get something better later on. Well, the thing is that maybe you're better off actually to borrow a little bit of money to get something a little bit more solid, something that's longer lasting and more enduring, something made of wood as opposed to melamine, perhaps, especially if you're buying furniture. And this is because One, it's going to last longer. You're not going to have to keep replacing it. Having to replace all the time is about consumerism, and buying all this plastic is dreadful for the environment, as you know. So look for something that's more lasting. What else can I say? Here in Australia, another sense of false sense of economy, if you like, is when a tap is leaking. We have to pay for water. And if you perhaps, I'm guilty of this, I do this from time to time, where you put your washing in the washing machine, you leave it, and then you've got to wash it again later on because you left it there for too long. Well, that's not good for the washing machine, actually. And the other thing is, because water is considered a valuable commodity in Australia in a lot of areas, we actually have to pay for it. So you're just running up your bills by procrastinating, I guess. So take a look at your behaviours, your attitudes towards money, and even just being organised and all the rest of it. What else have I got written here? Oh, yes, and then the big one. Okay, if you're having to borrow money or use one credit card to pay another, you really need to look at your spending lifestyle very, very quickly. So when crystal care is involved, or how we care for money agate, I do believe, based on my observations, it is fairly durable and hardy. As I said, I dropped one of mine the other day when I was taking photographs of it, not from a great height, and it did land on carpet, and I sort of did the gasp as it fell, and I thought, oh no, I've damaged the point, because it landed pointy end down. But actually there was no damage done to it all. So that was when I realised actually it's a pretty hardy little crystal there, which means that it's going to have better durability when you're wearing it. But as with all crystals, you would avoid chemicals. You'd try not to expose them to that. You wouldn't be wearing them in a chlorinated pool. Certainly would avoid wearing them down the beach and that kind of stuff anyway. Not that I think that the salt water would do any damage, but if you're for most of us here in Australia, it's like you've got to lather yourself up with sunblock. What else can I say? Yes, if they are in settings, especially if they've got a couple of little fractures in them, I definitely would avoid using those ultrasonic cleaners. If they're in settings, the mild soapy water approach, I've got videos on self-care. I'll put the links into the description of this video as well. What else could I say? Yeah, basically settings, you can use a soft toothbrush if you need to get in that grime, get it off, give it a bit of a rinse, dry it with a soft cloth, but no harsh chemicals, no harsh materials when you're cleaning your crystals. Things like the towers, of course, they're just going to need to have a damp cloth over them, perhaps to get rid of a bit of dust. If they've got druzy, you can use those air compress tins, I can't remember what they're called. And when it comes to charging and recharging, I love selenite. Okay, I probably should take shares in a selenite mine or something like that, because I just promote it all the time. It is something that I love because it cleanses and recharges at the same time, and I find it very time effective. But of course there's plenty of other things that you can do to recharge your crystals, including money agate, and you might be drawn to sound. Somebody has said in the past that they use the tongs, what are they called? Tuning forks. The tuning forks, some people might use Tibetan bells if you're into the power of sound to cleanse and recharge. Other people might rely on the incense. Anyway, put your comments up on what you would do if you had some money agate. What would be your preferred cleansing and recharging methods? And I will just leave you to check out the videos underneath. I don't think they're long ones. I can't remember now. I haven't looked at them for a while. And so, thankfully, my little Toby boy settled down, so I haven't had to stop and start too much today. So for now, though, I'm going to say, look, I think that is the sum of the information that I can share with you about money agate, and I'm going to hand it over to you guys now to let me know your knowledge, experience, understanding. In the meantime, I'm going to say, look, have a wonderful day, blessed day, have a wonderful day, catch you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.
Stay blessed, and I'll catch you on the next
video. And thankfully, my little Toby boy settled down.